we appreciate you being here with us where sports meets that thing called life on Facebook.com and YouTube.com, both /WakeUpCallDT. We appreciate you being here where sports meets that thing called life inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. This is the Fantasy Football Power Hour, not one of, not a, but the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly brought to you by the Wildcat Sports Pub, NFL Week 18, 2022-23 season. So we are here with you where sports meets that thing called life, bringing you our fantasy football advice, and here we are bringing you that fantasy football advice on a new video. We apologize for the delay for any one of you that were on our first video, as the internet service by Rectum is a terrible and atrocious service where they continue to charge more from year to year. They jacked the prices up twice during COVID, and they decided to jack them up once again. The internet service is horrible. It constantly goes out, and they constantly make excuses for themselves, and the excuses never seem to make any sense. So we appreciate you being here with us where sports meets that thing called life, as we look to bring you in to our fantasy football coverage here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. So we thank you for being here, hanging out with us where sports meets life on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We thank you for being here, and we appreciate you so very much. So for those tuning in on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, this is the Fantasy Football Power Hour. Let's jump right into it. So we will go first and foremost to the Saturday games, bringing you the Saturday games where sports meets life on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We'll go first to the Kansas City at Las Vegas game. Kansas City fighting to stay in first place. Well, we have the situation, Kansas City fighting to stay in first place, whereas we have the Las Vegas Raiders not really fighting
Kansas
for
City
anything.
fighting to stay in first place,
That's something
whereas
to look at
we
here in
have
daily fantasy,
the Las
as
Vegas
well as
Raiders
your league
not really
fantasy
fighting Kansas
for
City
anything.
fighting to stay in
with
first
that
place,
said,
whereas
something to look at
we
here, I would put
have
that fantasy
the Las
as
Vegas
well as
Raiders
your league
not really
Jack
fighting
Evans,
Kansas
Jarrett
City
McKinnon.
fighting to stay in
So,
first
with
place,
that said,
whereas
something to
we
look at here, I would put
have
that fantasy
the Las
as well
Vegas
as
Raiders
your league
not
Jack
really
Evans,
fighting Kansas
Jarrett
City
McKinnon,
fighting to stay in
and
first place,
so,
whereas we
I
have the Las
don't
Vegas
have their value as high because they're not as consistent. So I don't put them out there as fantasy starters for you. For the Las Vegas Raiders, you got to watch this because Josh Jacobs is playing. He's playing for his fantasy. He's playing for his future, right? Because they didn't renew his contract. So in his world, he's playing for 32 NFL franchises, including the one he's on. Whereas Darren Waller signed on through 2026. Devontae Adams got a big old contract, so they might not want to get hurt here. So I would look to say maybe Josh Jacobs, but monitor the other guys on if they're going to play in this game because they're not playing for anything in fantasy. So I would venture to say that there's not a ton of fantasy value with those gentlemen on Las Vegas. For Tennessee and Jacksonville, there's a ton of fantasy value for these guys because of, the fact that both of these teams are fighting not only to get in the playoffs, but fighting to win their division. So whoever wins this game it's win and you're in. It's win and you win the division, and you get in the playoffs, and you get to host a playoff game. So in my opinion, you definitely have to play Derrick Henry in this matchup. I don't see a ton of fantasy value on Tennessee besides maybe putting Austin Hooper out there. He's a tight end too. But beyond that, the fantasy value, in my opinion, lies with the Jacksonville Jaguars in this matchup. So in this one, I'm playing. I know there's an injury here to Trevor Lawrence, but I would imagine he's going to be playing in this game. So I'd put Trevor Lawrence out there. He's a gamer, and obviously he knows he's playing for all the marbles. His first season in the NFL, his team was last in the NFL, and they got the first pick. This year, they have the opportunity to go from almost no wins to getting to 9 wins, getting in the playoffs, and hosting a playoff game. I said he would have a better sophomore season. I don't think anybody saw that it would be this good overall for the Jaguars as a team. So a shout out to the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence worth the play. Travis Etienne Jr. worth the play. Christian Kirk worth the play. Zay Jones worth the play, in my opinion. I would also look at putting out the likes of an Evan Engram. I got him as a low-end tight end 1, high-end tight end 2, but still worth the play for you, as I believe he's got a lot of fantasy value. He can really spark at any time. So I would look at potentially putting him out there. I do like his fantasy value. So I would look to play him in this game. And that would be my side of things for the Saturday games. So that wraps up the Saturday games, in my opinion, for fantasy. If you have a fantasy question, send it over to us. I'm always happy to help you in all things fantasy football and whatever else we can help you with here on the show. So make sure you send in your fantasy questions to us here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. Getting into the games after this as we jump into our Sunday games. For the Sunday matchups, Tampa Bay at Atlanta. Tampa's not fighting for anything. They've won the division. They've got the 4th spot. They know what's going to happen with them. So I would venture to say that you really don't have anybody here that you can really put out, unless you want to maybe put out a Rashad White, who they might give some time to. But I would imagine they're also going to give some time to Keyshawn Vaughn. So maybe Keyshawn Vaughn has some daily fantasy value for you in this matchup. But outside of that, I don't see much value here, as they have no reason to play anybody, and you don't want to get anyone injured in the grand scheme of things here. So I would look to keep these gentlemen off from Tampa Bay. For Atlanta, you could look at maybe playing a Drake London, maybe a Tyler Algier and a Cordero Patterson. Tyler Algier and Cordero Patterson are fighting for the rights to make a good impression on their coaching staff, as they've been splitting time out there this season. And obviously somebody wants to take the reins at running back here for Atlanta's future. So I could see some value in playing either one of them if they're going to be out there. But beyond that, I don't really see a lot of value in this fantasy game, as you got Atlanta eliminated from the playoffs and you got Tampa Bay playing, they already know where they're going to be, so they're not really playing for anything. New England at Buffalo, they're both playing for a lot here. So I'd play Ramondre Stevenson, Damian Harris, and, you got injuries to other people here. Hunter Henry, if he's able to go, I'd look to put him out there. On the other side for Buffalo, Josh Allen's on the injury report, but I would imagine he's going to play, and God bless to everybody playing. I hope they stay healthy and stay well and get well and don't get any more injured, only get better from here. Josh Allen, I would play James Cook, Devin Singletary, and Gabe Davis, as well as Stephon Diggs. Dawson Knox is injured. Tight end position, you could maybe get away with not having to put him out there. So just monitor that. And if they don't have him to put out, I wouldn't imagine that they would. So maybe you don't play him this week. For Minnesota, Minnesota knows that they're in, but they're still fighting for the 2nd seed. But keep in mind, the top 2 seeds don't get a bye anymore, since the playoffs expanded to 7 last year. With 7 teams now, only the first team gets a bye in the NFC and in the AFC, the first seed. So the 2nd seed does not. So it really doesn't matter here. I mean, home field does matter. But for Minnesota, I mean, if you're playing and you want to get that, maybe you could play your starters in the first half, see if you get up by a lot, maybe sit some people. So you could play a Delvin Cook or a Justin Jefferson, but I would think that maybe they'll be given a break here in this game. They're 12-4, so San Fran. I would imagine they want to be the 2nd seed, but how long are they going to play these starters is what's up to question here. Adam Thielen might get some more hay for you, as well as TJ Hawkinson. On Chicago's side, you really don't have to play Justin Fields, and you're not going to see him out here for this game, as he's hurt. Nathan Peterman's going to be playing. Maybe you play a David Montgomery or a Cole Kmet, Chase Claypool, but again, none of these guys are playing for anything. The wide receivers are playing to maybe who's going to stay on the team, as nobody's shown out this season thus far. So maybe you look at the receivers for Chicago, but I really don't like the situation. Baltimore at Cincinnati, the way that this is set up right now, Cincinnati knows that they're in. They know they've won the division. Baltimore is there in the 6th spot. They're 10-6. So they have the hope of maybe jumping the Chargers. So they're looking for the opportunity to play the Jaguars potentially again, or play Tennessee. The Chargers looking for that too. So either one of those 4 or 5 matchups is going to be good no matter who wins. So I would imagine with Baltimore having this game mean so much, and Cincinnati kind of knowing where this game is at for them, Cincinnati knows that they're locked in, right? Lamar Jackson didn't participate on Thursday in practice. I would imagine they're still waiting to put him out there. My guy Anthony Brown, that I covered in his recruitment, might get a shot to play in this game as well. J.K. Dobbins, I would look for him to get some fantasy value, or Mark Andrews. On Cincinnati's side, they could be sitting a bunch of guys. So maybe this helps out a Tyler Boyd. Maybe it helps out a Hayden Hurst at tight end. Maybe it helps out a Samaje Perrin. But Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, you don't have to risk any of those guys. So I look to probably keep them off if they're not going to play, but obviously monitor that. Houston and Indianapolis are fighting for almost nothing in this game. Houston is the worst team in the NFL, and Indianapolis is close behind. Houston is 2-13-1. Indy is 4-11-1. So Houston's going for the number one pick. So who do you play in this game? I mean, it's bragging rights in the AFC South division. So I don't really know if there's any value there for Houston. For Indianapolis, I don't know if there's any value here either. Maybe you play a Zach Moss, maybe a Michael Pittman Jr., but I don't see a ton of value in this fantasy game at all. The Jets at Miami, keep in mind, Miami is still alive and the Jets have been eliminated. So the Jets don't have to risk any injury, and they've already dealt with injury. And it's sad to say, what would this team have been like if they had a healthy, when you look at their running back situation, I told you this guy was going to play this year when he got drafted. What would they have been like if they had Breece Hall all season? But for Miami, you got Tua injured with a concussion. This could have been his second or third this year based on what we've seen. God willing, he'll be okay. Teddy Bridgewater, he's injured with a finger injury, so Skylar Thompson may be your guy. They're still fighting for the playoffs, so I'd play Tyreek Hill, Raheem Mostert, maybe Jeff Wilson out there, maybe a Mike Gesicki. Jalen Waddle's hurt as well. I don't know if they want to put him out there with a shoulder injury. You're playing for all the marbles, though, but I don't think you put Tua out there as you've already shaken up his marbles a bunch of times. And for the Jets, I don't see a lot of fantasy value because, you're looking to eliminate and play spoiler to a divisional foe, but is that enough to risk injuring your guys? I don't know if you want to do that. They've been through enough running backs this season. And they're the road team. Carolina at New Orleans, both of these teams are eliminated. Again, there's really no value here for anybody to risk injuring anybody else, so I don't see if you put really anybody out here to see what they can do. DJ Moore's had an underwhelming season. Terrence Marshall, too. Maybe you put out Shi Smith, Laviska Shenault. Maybe they get some value. Maybe they play P.J. Walker. I just don't see a lot of value here for either team. Now, if Alvin Kamara and Chris Olave play for New Orleans, the value's there. But if they don't, well, then you don't have to really do anything with that. Cleveland's been eliminated. Pittsburgh's still fighting for the playoffs. So again, Cleveland could play some guys to play spoiler to that divisional AFC North team. Pittsburgh's playing to get into the playoffs. So for the Steelers, you got to put guys out there. For Cleveland, I don't know if they're going to risk injuring Nick Chubb or Kareem Hunt. They may play Deshaun Watson since he hasn't really played all season, but Najee Harris has value. Deontay Johnson, Pat Freiermuth, and maybe a George Pickens. I don't see a lot of value for Cleveland because they're not fighting for anything. The Chargers at Denver. The Chargers right now are in the 5th spot. They're looking to hold on to that 5th spot. So in the Denver has nothing to lose. Them playing their starters hasn't done them any good this year, so I don't know why they'd risk injuring anybody. The Chargers, Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, play them all in this game. Outside of that, for Denver, I don't see a lot of fantasy value anywhere in this matchup. The Giants at Philadelphia. Well, the Giants know that they've locked up the 6th seed. They know that that's where they're going to be. So the Giants are going to be sitting pat right there. And the other side of this matchup, Philadelphia is trying to win the division. Now, if the Giants win, they help out the Cowboys. If the Giants lose, they help out the Eagles. So no matter what they do, they're helping out somebody they don't want to help out. And no matter what they do, they're not going to be helping out themselves because they're already in the playoffs. They're 9-6-1. But beating the Philadelphia Eagles, beating a divisional foe is always a game you get up for. So Saquon Barkley, you could look at playing him. He wants to play this week. But Darius Slayton, Saquon, you don't want to risk any injuries. So I don't see a lot of fantasy value with the Giants. Now, on the Eagles side, Jalen Hurts still injured, and they haven't played him in a couple weeks. And I can't imagine why you'd want to throw him out there knowing you're going to make the playoffs. However, what's on the line for Philadelphia and Dallas? Whoever wins, if Philly wins, you lock up the number 1 seed in the NFC. You get to be the only team sitting out the wild card week. You advance automatically to divisional round, and you have home field advantage through the rest of the playoffs en route to the Super Bowl, right? So you want to play your players. If you're Dallas, you got to play everybody too. So you want to play Jalen Hurts because you haven't done well without him, but do you want to risk losing him for the playoffs is the question. But it's also the difference between the number 1 seed and the number 5 seed. So you're in a conundrum here that they've been in for the last couple weeks. Do you or don't you play Jalen Hurts? So if he's able to go, then I would say you play him. But you're going to make the playoffs no matter what. But it's the difference between the 1st and the 5th seed. So what's important to you? Seeding or just making sure you have him for the playoffs? I would say making sure you have Jalen Hurts for the playoffs supersedes everything. But at the same time, you also have to make sure that you get that number 1 seed. So I think if Jalen's good to go, you put him out there, but I also don't think you want to risk him. Miles Sanders, same thing. So you put out Boston Scott, Kenneth Gainwell. They both have some value here. A.J. Brown has some value here, and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert. But I'd stay away from Jalen Hurts until we actually know what's going on. I would want my starting quarterback to lock in the number 1 seed, knowing that that's the only one that's going to get a bye. But I also would think it's more important to not lose him for the playoffs, and you've already kept him out a couple weeks. And the Giants aren't necessarily playing their starters here, so that also bodes well for the Eagles because you know you have to win this game, but you're playing against a team that doesn't have to win this game. So that can help you out too in making your decision. Arizona at San Francisco. Well, Arizona's playing for nothing. San Fran is playing to lock in that 2nd spot for sure. So, and because as we look at this in Minnesota 12-4, San Fran 12-4. Let me go back and see this here. They played in the preseason against each other, but they didn't play in the regular season. So it's not like either one of them owns a tiebreaker here. Arizona is playing for nothing, right? San Fran is playing for a lot. So I can't imagine Arizona. They got a ton of injured players. I can't imagine wanting to put anybody out here. Maybe Trey McBride has some value, but I don't see a lot of value here. San Fran, Brock Purdy, he's hurt right now. Your other 2 quarterbacks are on IR, so you don't want to, you know what I mean? Jimmy Garoppolo's out. Trey Lance is out. Jimmy Garoppolo may come back. Christian McCaffrey, he's on the injury report again. I wouldn't want to mess with him. Deebo Samuel is still on the injury report. I wouldn't want to mess with him. So as much as San Fran needs this win, they're playing a crappy team. So I'd probably stay away from all the fantasy stuff on Arizona and San Francisco's game in San Fran. Los Angeles at Seattle. Seattle is playing to get in the playoffs. The Los Angeles Rams are playing for absolutely nothing. They were eliminated before a lot of teams were eliminated, and they suck this year. With their starters and without their starters, they have been atrocious. So Seattle, again, you're playing a team that has nothing to gain, so do you really have to put a lot of guys out there? You have almost every running back injured. Kenneth Walker III's injured. Travis Homer is injured. DJ Davis is injured. Rashad Penny is still on injured reserve. So Godwin, Igwabuki could be playing, and I'm sorry if I said that wrong. So Godwin could be put out there. This gives some value to DK Metcalf and Laquan Treadwell, who comes from the Jaguars, who I know is good at being a possession receiver potentially for you. Tyler Lockett didn't practice, and so he has a shin injury. Let's see if he plays. I would say DCAF and Tyler Lockett are your best bets in this game. But again, they benefit from the fact that they're playing a team that's got a bunch of injuries that has nothing to play for. We'll do our last 2 games after we take a step aside on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. From inside the Cafe Kubal Studios, the Fantasy Football Power from the Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. Your home to watch all the games. Make sure you get in touch with them as well for Takeout and Delivery, 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat, 315-487-2222. We'll be back right after this fast break, where sports meets life.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Cabal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecabal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cabal needs. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville beats. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
This is Jim Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, hanging out with you where sports meets that thing called life, and appreciate you being here every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and we are inside of the Fantasy Football Power Hour, not one of, not a, but the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly powered by the Wildcat Sports Pub, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. And, of course, open 7 days for your dining pleasure, 7 days a week. And, of course, you can come and you can also connect with them outside of going into the restaurant for takeout and delivery. You can go to 315-487-2222 on your phone. That's 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat Sports Pub. So with that being said, in our final regular season week here, we have week 18, and we are bringing you fantasy football advice. The next one we have up, Dallas at Washington. Well, Dallas playing for the rights to be the number 1 seed. In week 18, Dallas still has a shot. As good as Philadelphia was, and as the only undefeated team for many, many weeks in the NFL, Dallas has the shot to knock off the number 1 team here, but they need some help. Philly has to lose. Dallas has to win. If that happens, the Cowboys will jump from 5th to 1st and go from having to play a road game against Tom Brady and the Bucs in Tampa to being at home throughout the playoffs en route to the Super Bowl and have a bye week in the first week of the postseason. So Dallas, mind you, is going to have to be playing everybody, where Washington really doesn't. I mean, they've been eliminated. Washington eliminated with the Giants getting in. So I would say Dallas, Dak Prescott, Tony Pollard, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup as a flex guy, T.Y. Hilton, who they put onto the team. By the way, really good move to bring in T.Y. and not Odell Beckham Jr. I've never heard any issues with T.Y., and you hear stuff about Odell Beckham Jr., which I hope he gets better and I hope he stays well. I always want for people to eat and get to live their dreams. I personally don't know why the Dallas Cowboys would put somebody on their team that, I mean, you're a playoff team, you're going to the postseason, you've had a great season. Why would you put yourself in a situation to have drama on your team? Would make no sense to me. So, Dallas getting T.Y. Hilton, I like that. He's a little sneaky flex guy for you or somebody to play in daily. Dalton Schultz, good as well. Sam Howell, I said we might get to see him this season, and he is going to be the starter for this week, as Washington has 3 to 4 quarterbacks a season in each of the last few seasons here. Sam Howell, the rookie out of North Carolina that I covered while he was with the Tar Heels, is now going to start for Washington. We'll see what he can do. Maybe Terry McLaurin, maybe Jahan Dotson. This team could be playing spoiler to Dallas, right? But they don't have anything to play for. Dallas is in the playoffs no matter what, but Dallas has a shot of going from 5th to 1st this week. They got to win. Philly's got to lose. Philly's playing, you look at this matchup here. Philly's playing the Giants, Dallas playing Washington. The Giants already know that they're the 6th seed. They already know they're in the playoffs and they know what seed they are. So bragging rights to beat the Eagles. The Eagles aren't fully healthy, but they're playing a Giants team that might sit some guys. Dallas has to win this game, want to keep guys healthy, but at the same time, you want your shot at first place because, again, it's the difference between having to play Tom Brady 3 times in the last 2 seasons where you've lost the 2 that you did play. So you got a chance of playing a team on the road in their home that's already beaten you twice this season and last season combined, beating you the last 2 games. You don't want to play them a 3rd time after going 0-2, and you don't want to go on the road. And why not fight for first place when you have the opportunity to get a bye, be at home for the entire playoffs? Dallas is playing for everything here. So they need some help from the Giants, who may not be putting all their guys out there, and they got to win themselves. Let's see what can happen. Dallas Cowboys still got a shot at first place. Exciting, and I was just in their home at AT&T Stadium for the first time ever for the Cotton Bowl Classic. Detroit, but there's a lot of fantasy value on Dallas, like I said, not so much on Washington. And this game, 2 teams fighting to get in the playoffs. Minnesota is in the playoffs. We already know that. They're 12-4. They've already won the division of the NFC North. But guess what, folks? Detroit and Green Bay, they need Seattle to lose, but all the teams are 8-8. Detroit is over Green Bay right now because they beat Green Bay head-to-head. If they beat them again and Seattle loses, Detroit, believe it or not, will make the postseason. Craziness. When's the last time Detroit and Dallas both made the postseason? That's something to look up and to wonder here, folks. So Detroit and Green Bay playing in this game at Green Bay. Jamal Williams, got to play him. DeAndre Swift, some value there. Amon-Ra St. Brown as well. On Green Bay's side, Aaron Rodgers, A.J. Dillon with a limited Aaron Jones. If Jones is able to go, play him. But I still like A.J. Dillon. Alan Lazard as well. Christian Watson, if he's able to go, watch it. Limited in practice due to a hip injury. A lot of fantasy value. And last season, we were watching the last game of the season, went all the way to the end and into overtime. Chargers, Raiders fighting to get in the playoffs. This one, last game of the regular season. Once again, 2 teams fighting to get in the playoffs. Lions, Packers. Let's see what happens here. Fighting for that 7th and final spot in the NFC, believe it or not. So a lot of great stuff coming up here for the NFL, and this has been your Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly powered by the Wildcat Sports Pub, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. We appreciate you being here with us inside of the Cafe Kubal studios as always, and we appreciate you watching and listening to the Fantasy Football Power Hour worldwide. Always happy to answer your questions. If we didn't get to them today, send them to me, and I'd be more than happy to help you with those. But if you reply to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt to this video on Facebook specifically.com/wakeupcalldt, or if you write to me in a private message on Facebook at wakeupcalldt, Twitter at calldt, or Instagram at wakeupcall_dt, happy to help you there as well. Thanks to the Wildcat, and thanks to you. Big shout out to Carvel DeWitt for the annoying moment of the week, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay for lead, top dog of the week by Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Campground Dog Boarding, and the Wildcat Sports Pub with the Fantasy Football Power Hour. The Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora broadcasts are proud to come to you every single Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Facebook.com, YouTube.com, and MixLR.com, all /WakeUpCallDT on Facebook.com /LiveNowDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.com's homepage where the MixLR feed is embedded. You can search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, MixLR, Podbean, Podvine, Spotify, Stitcher, Player FM, TuneIn, and YouTube by searching Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT, on any one of these outlets. Download it, save it, follow it, keep it forever so you never miss a show again. And we can thank our incredible partners, Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Witty Wicks, Avicoli's, PB&J's Lunchbox, Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Chick-fil-A Watertown, Mother's Cupboard, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Pizza Man, Great Lakes Honda City, 317 at Montgomery. The name of the restaurant is the name of the location, 317 Montgomery Street in downtown Syracuse. And of course, we're proud to be the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Tortora here in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with the Lemoyne College Dolphins. Lemoyne has our AD and DT comes to you every first and third Wednesday of each month. You get AD and DT with new specials with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora, on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora's Dolphin Time on Wednesdays at 9 a.m. And every second and fourth Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time to start off the broadcast, you get the Dolphin Dive, diving into the stories of student athletes, coaches, administration, as well as future Dolphins and alumni. You can catch all of those by going to the Lemoyne tab on wakeupcalldt.com for our content library, including our exclusive series on realignment and reclassification, as Lemoyne continues to eye looking at going Division 1 from Division 2. And of course, you can also get our content by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and subscribing to our YouTube channel and searching our Lemoyne content there. For more information on your Dolphins, you can simply go to LemoyneDolphins.com. Your Bryan and Stratton Bobcats of Syracuse are also exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. The Bobcat Buzz comes to you every single month with the Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse. Roundtable discussions, one-on-ones with head coaches, administration, and student athletes coming to you all throughout the year with their men's and women's soccer teams that have won national championships, as well as the current season of men's and women's basketball and the upcoming inaugural season ushering in the first ever baseball team to Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse. All of that happens exclusively on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Search our Bobcat content by going to the BSC Syracuse tab on wakeupcalldt.com, as well as subscribing to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and searching Bobcat Buzz on our channel. And of course, for more information on your Bobcats, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com. I want to thank you all for tuning in this week to the first full week of the new year here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. This is our first week of broadcast in 2023. I cannot thank you enough for being a part of the show. We got to celebrate on Monday, on January 2nd, we got to play for you the broadcast, our New Year's broadcast of Two Mics No Filter, one of the specialty segments that we do with Andrea Smith, talking about so many different topics around the world with my thoughts and her thoughts together. Always some comedy and always reaching out into a bunch of different nooks and crannies, spending a lot of time on relationships too, and just having a great time with it. So you definitely got to check that out. And then on Tuesday, we got to feature our broadcast with you, which was very special, where I got to recount being at the Cotton Bowl Classic and my interviews with the Tulane Green Wave and the USC Trojans in the 46-45 win by Tulane. On Wednesday's broadcast, I got to bring you my thoughts on my experience of touring the JFK assassination site and other sites linked to the assassination in Dallas, Texas. And then on Thursday, we got to bring you Papa Joe and my conversation with American Athletic Conference Commissioner Mike Oresco, who was on site on location, as well as I was for the Cotton Bowl Classic down in Texas. And then, of course, today, getting to bring you, and we brought you the Ingredients to Success on Tuesday, proudly presented by Avicoles. And then today, bringing you our trio that we always do inside a Wake Up Call on Fridays, the Annoying Moment of the Week, presented by Carvel DeWitt. Lead, Learn, Evolve, Ad-Lib, and Deliver, presented by Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay. The Top Dog of the Week, presented by Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Campground Dog Boarding. And, of course, we brought you our typical Wednesday broadcast, but here on Friday, of the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub. So, big thanks to all of you for joining us this first week of 2023. We got a lot of beautiful things, a lot of evolution growing, as you know, with Dan Tortora Broadcast Media and everything we do under Dan Tortora Broadcast Media. We're all about expanding, progressing, and advancing forward. So I am more than happy to have everything coming up here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora being special. Superpowered Pop, what we have with Do Diz with Dan, Comic Book Trails, and so much more. This is going to be a new year of new things, expanded things, progressing in areas, always evolving, always on the rise, always shifting upward, closer and closer, heading toward the kingdom of heaven in my life, and always in that world trying to, as we head toward the kingdom of heaven, as we head toward the positives, as we head toward God, always being able to bring you good things here on earth. So by the grace of God, 2023 is going to be an even better year. We always look to increase, always look to be on the rise and not work just hard, but work smart as well. So a lot of great things coming up, a lot of awesome things to release to you. 2023 is going to be beautiful. Thank you for spending the first week of 2023 with us. God bless, no stress, do your best. Find us on our social media. Please be good to each other. Remember to pray, stay away from toxins, don't be a toxin, and just remember to laugh and be the best you can be. For a wake-up call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, we implore you to head out to Witty Wicks as we bid adieu to this broadcast in the first week of 2023. Here with our Witty Wicks candles and all of our Witty Wicks merchandise here in the studio. We look forward to seeing you at Witty Wicks on 190 Township Boulevard in Camillus, New York, and online at wittywicks.com. God bless, no stress, do your best once again, and happy 2023.